the cost of living, something that President Trump had said from day one he was going to tackle. He mentioned about the price of eggs, said they're working on that, but what was missing from that message?
Well, I think there were a lot of specifics missing. And I think we saw something from Donald Trump that I have not heard from him before tonight. And that was his acknowledgement that even if there's long-term prosperity from his tariff strategy, there will be short-term or immediate difficulties. A lot of what Donald Trump is doing is going to turn everything upside down. And we know that one of the things Biden kind of dealt with and then Vice President Harris dealt with is sometimes economic numbers don't equal economic vibes. And what I think is going to happen is with some of these tariffs, it's going to hit on very specific things, whether it be avocados or particular sort of lumber. And when people feel that, they are going to hold Donald Trump responsible. So I think it was important that he acknowledged that his tariff policy, if successful, still might make it more difficult in the short term.
Yeah, as Democrats learn, vibes don't always equal votes in, when it matters. So, Calvin, you're here in D.C. as well, and we have talked so much about a lot of these cuts, a lot of the cutbacks. We've seen a lot of rallies going on right now. And look, Armen's right. There's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle who say, yeah, we want to cut costs, we want to cut spending along the way. There's been a lot of talk about the impact it would have on D.C. proper, though.
Yes, and I think that what people are realizing is this demonization of federal workers, most of whom don't live in D.C., but a lot of them do live in the D.C. area. That's not gonna bode well, no matter what your political stripe is. And I think one thing about the waste that he listed off, the reason why he's not going to get much support from Democrats is one, making fun of country names as if nobody's ever heard of them. That's never popular with Democrats. But also, if you add up the waste and abuse that he cited off, we're not anywhere close to the hundreds of billions of dollars. So I think what he's doing is he's pointing out small programs, small relative to our budget, and not really tackling the things that really could make a dent in that, like in the Department of Defense. But I think that he is using these projects with funny sounding names to make it seem as if he is finding massive fraud, waste, and abuse, when that remains not to be the case up till now.
And Calvin, there had been some talk that maybe Democrats would see that as sort of a cudgel where a government shutdown might work in their favor. They're usually the ones being the most vociferous against them.
Well, I think the Democrats should use this as an opportunity to maybe scale back some of the things that unelected Elon Musk is doing. I think that this will be the first big test of Donald Trump, because it's one thing to do an executive order. It's completely different to actually have to work with the legislature and compromise if he needs Democratic votes, which I think he will in the House.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen in the past. But again, that's when you have such a slim majority in the House. It's weird when you have a slim majority in the House and a wider one in the Senate. Things work a little bit differently in Washington. Guys, hey, I really appreciate it. Armen Kurdian, Calvin Dark staying up late with us here on the show. I know it's still, where you are, Armen, it's still 9:13, so you can go out and party and do what you will. Good to see you both. Thanks, guys.
Have a great evening,
Thank you.
Jim. Thanks.
We appreciate it.